everyone, and welcome to Comics News Today. And we will be talking about some very interesting articles, but we're also going to be looking at Todd Mulrooney as he does some art, something a little different that we haven't done before. Of course, I am Chester C. Busby III, and I am joined by the Booster. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Chester.
Oh, great, man. I'm doing great. And we have the chairman of the board himself, Mr. DeWolf. How are you doing today?
Fabulous.
Oh, great. Denali Lama, how are you feeling?
Raring to go. Had a bottle of chocolate milk and I'm hyped up on Sugar Rush.
Bottle of
Woo!
chocolate milk. Would that be a Yoo-hoo?
Yeah, we'll go with a Yoo-hoo.
We'll go with a Yoo-hoo. We're going with Yoo-hoo, guys. All right, and of course we're joined by Thundaro, the mighty Lord of Lightning. How are you doing today?
Fantastic.
All right. And of course, Todd, who's going to be doing some drawing for us. So let's come in here and take a look at what Todd is drawing. How you doing, Todd?
Doing great. I'm happy to do some drawing for you guys. Just working on a panel of ignition, page 6. This is panel 1. I'll go out a little bit for you guys.
And you're doing a lot of there's a lot going on there. And you were talking to us about the Horizon line and how all the faces were connected and stuff. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'll put it back here. Here's my Horizon line, this blue line. So basically, the first person I drew on here was this reporter, and I put his mic sort of on the horizon line. So that meant just putting every other character's mouth right on that line. So no matter what size we are, this guy's standing. Obviously, she's not standing, but this guy is sort of on his feet. So I put his mouth on the horizon line. This guy is carrying a baby. His mouth's on the horizon, and this cop is sort of stopping people from going this direction. So you can see that every mouth is on that horizon line. And that's the idea of using the horizon line. It could be moved. I could have, depending on the view you want.
And this is a perspective point, right?
Yes. There's no building, so I don't have to draw any kind of, it's 1-point perspective, basically using the horizon line like this.
I see. But why would we care that everyone's mouth is on the horizon line? Why does that matter?
Well, it was just like I said, the first character I drew, I figured out, what was the sort of focal point in his drawing. And I thought, you know what, that he's a reporter, that he's covering this carnage that's happening in the city. So I thought, okay, let me just put it across there. So it really doesn't, in the end, when I get rid of the guide, it doesn't really matter. It's just an idea of drawing accurately. So the horizon line keeps you in check. So for instance, if I wanted to go with a lower view that sort of went up, then I might put a horizon line across everybody's knees. And so everyone would be at different, it's about creating a plane. All these people are on different planes, but they're all accurately on the right point. So some people you see in full, some people you see half, and some people like you see these two little people over here. They're, there's more action going on back there. The other thing about planes is when I go to color this, you can see I wrote something here, is I want all the characters in the foreground to be cool. So there'll be purples or blues or grayish blue colors or whatever. And then this is going to be warm because the fire's back there. So you draw in planes and you color in planes, and it helps everything be more accurate.
Oh, that's interesting, man. I get it. I understand. Now I know Denali here is an artist as well. Have you got to this level of understanding, Denali, or are you still just kind of working your way up?
I'm working on perspectives as well. That's something that, I'm working with the structure and everything, because a lot of people who, when they're learning perspective or drawing structures and doing a pose, they forget about perspective and kind of learning where the camera or where my eye level is going. So the horizon level, like he said, it's a good guideline where you're going to be putting everything, up or down, and then moving the cameras all over the place, which is basically what Todd said.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's cool. And of course, we know
So-
that Booster is the master of MS Paint. Are you going to take this lesson into account, Booster?
Oh, Chester, I already knew all about this, mate.
Oh, I see.
This is like the first thing I learned in arting class.
It was.
Arts.
Okay.
Arts and
And
class.
exactly
Notice-
who did you take arting class from?
You know, senior arts teacher.
What?
Oh, greatest.
You're in New Zealand. Do you have any seniors over there at all?
You know, you know.
So
You
that's
know,
a
Chester.
no.
You know.
I get it. Okay. Thank you, Booster. Now, I know I'm a horrible artist. DeWolf, can you draw at all?
Yeah. My usually technical stuff. I went from drafting, you know, houses, buildings, and stuff like that for engineering, you know, processes. And so there's a way to convert that, but I'm not sure you end up with really good art like this, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm actually pretty good at the mechanical drawing aspect too. I just can't do organic stuff at all.
So
Rulers,
one thing
you know.
one thing that I realized when Todd was talking about the horizon line, what it all meant was, to me, if it's done right, you really don't even notice. The thing is, if it's done wrong, that's where the viewer comes away with the idea that this just doesn't look right, you know.
Mhm.
So
You know, and there used to be a time where Ethan actually did videos where he'd explain stuff like this. Of course, that is a long time ago. But he used to explain a lot of things about horizon lines, perspective. Pretty good videos, I think, actually. I wish he'd get back to some of that stuff. But Thundara, you are master of everything, so you must be an amazing artist, right?
Fantastic. Probably the best in the world.
Oh, there you go.
Probably.
All, enough said, right? No, seriously, can
course.
you draw it all?
No, I have zero drawing ability in actuality.
Well, then you and I are in the same boat, man. I really wish I could draw, but you know what? I have a new iPad 10 Pro coming here very shortly, and I'm going to practice because that thing is supposed to be a really good art pad. So I'm going to practice and see if I can at least get to Booster's level. I don't know. That's quite a high level to try to attain, but I'm going
I
to
need to take some arting lessons first. I might teach you.
an arting lesson. Well, you know, Booster, I do think I have probably better people around to give me arting lessons, but I'll consider it.
No, thank you.
you go.
Truly, I'm honored.
Yeah, there you
Truly.
go. Awesome. All right, guys. Let's. We do have some news we want to get to today, so let's go ahead and talk about our first story. And I'll bring this up here for the guys to be able to check it out, and we'll bring it up for you to be able to see it as well. So here we have Danelli. Go ahead and introduce this article to us.
From our favorite website, cbr.com, by Tim Weber. Astonishing X-Men. Is Dazzler another Omega level mutant?
Well, no. I'd say no. What do you think, Duel? No, right?
I kind of disagree. Even way back in the early Marvel days, they experimented with the idea that, considering Dazzler is a mutant who can convert sound energy into light energy, that the more sound that she converted, the more light that was created, and the more destructive light, the more power she had. So
I see.
if you gave her Omega level sound, she'd be Omega level in her ability to create light. And I think this goes right back into the quality of writing for CBR, and not the idea itself.
I see. So basically, you're biased, and we should ignore your opinion completely. Thank you. So Thundero, what do you think about Omega level Dazzler?
No.
No.
Just because she can recycle effectively an Omega level attack into an Omega level attack doesn't mean she's Omega level. If she could create that on her own, then she'd be Omega level.
So
Isn't she just a light effect show? Isn't that really what she really is? It's just some light effect.
I mean, she's powerful. Don't get me wrong, but I can't say she's Omega. That takes a lot before you can, unless the book just outright says it. It takes a lot for that to happen.
Yeah, I get what DeWolf is saying, though. I understand the concept, but yeah, Omega level is something that you are on your own Omega level. She might be able to convert, which we see, like for instance here in this picture, we see, I believe that is, it's probably Black Bolt, I guess. It is Black Bolt, and he's
Mhm.
putting energy into her with his sound abilities, and she's converting it. Now, of course, Black Bolt is Omega level. This dude is ridiculous. He can shatter planets. So him giving her and her being able to handle that level of sound and convert it into this laser light that is vaporizing this character here, that in itself is interesting. But maybe we're overthinking it. Dazzler is street level. She should stay street level. She's cute, fun Dazzler. I don't need Omega level Dazzler. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it.
For us that are a bit ignorant on the subject, from my understanding, an Omega level mutant is someone that's reality shifting, right? Someone like,
Yep.
say, Legion, Jean Grey, or Scarlet Witch, yeah?
Sure.
Well,
But,
you can
or
be
frankly,
Omega and even beyond Omega without
Yeah.
reality warping, but you have
I was
to
going
be
to say, how does
insanely
Iceman
powerful.
qualify as what I was going to ask is, how does Iceman qualify as Omega level
He
mutant?
doesn't.
Well,
Well,
apparently he is.
technically, the reason they say he does is because he can manipulate things at such a low level molecularly to freeze them. It's because his power can go so deep, basically to the quantum level, if he wants to.
So basically,
It's a
they
ridiculous thing.
They can't think of anything better. So, we're gonna make him Omega. It's God,
Right.
that's so lazy. I swear to God,
It's
I want
just
to
them
bang my head
screwing
on
up
the
their
wall.
own power levels, basically.
Ah.
Well, part of it is
Dragon
whether
Ball Z
or not
all
they're
over again.
iconic. Whether something is the iconic, like Doctor Strange, right? Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, right? Phoenix, she has the Phoenix power, cosmic. You know, anything that is that iconic. We're going to take a concept of a power and give it to one person and make it that extreme, quintessential type, like Black Bolt here, right? And what she can do, she can turn any sound into any power. I agree. Maybe she, as a character, is street level, but her power ability is Omega in potential.
Yeah, but I think my point is this. All of those characters you just named are plot tools more often than not. Because Marvel is not
Yeah.
Omega level storytelling. It's not DC Comics, right? And you have someone like Doctor Strange. Now, in his own comic, he'll do stuff, and he's dealing with gods, right? But when you see him like with the Defenders or something else, he's a plot tool. He's a means to an end, right? Same with Phoenix. It is a story plot tool. Black Bolt. We don't want to take Dazzler, who's a fun character unto herself. She's a great little character. I've always liked Dazzler. We don't want to make her a plot tool, dude.
Right.
Well, here's the other problem: is it causes power creep big time, because beyond Omega you have beyond Omega level, which is just the final classification, and basically just not classifiable. And there's very few that have ever been anywhere near that level. But if you say, okay, now she's Omega level, well, that means everybody underneath of her that was right next to her is now also either Omega or real close to it, unless she got a jump in her power. So it causes power creep, and eventually your top level, which is Omega, is technically the top level, means nothing because everybody's Omega.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they kind of went back and revised some power levels, because comics can get pretty ridiculous, you know?
Yep.
Well, let me throw you another big Omega type person who's not, and that would be Wolverine.
Yeah.
You wouldn't call Wolverine Omega level, would you?
No,
No,
never.
but they
He's
tried to
practically
before.
unkillable unless you get rid of him from a molecular level, right?
Except for his healing power.
Yeah.
Is ultimate.
Yeah, he's just unkillable. Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
that's
see-
Omega healing.
But it's not though. Omega is someone who can change the lay of a story, the lay of a situation. Someone who can literally become a world threat or a world savior. Wolverine is not going to do those kind of things. He is a straight-on brawler. A lot of times they try to put Wolverine in positions he should not be. He would, he might not be able to kill him, but there's a lot of these characters like Magneto. Wolverine
So
has
part of
zero
the
chance
problem-
against him.
Right. So part of the problem is defining what Omega means, what it means
Mhm.
for the plot, which we also said, what it means for the characters interacting with one another, and eventually what it means to a discussion like this, which CBR tries to put forward, which I fall back on saying that it's bad writing and a bad article.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you have to also, if you're saying she's Omega level, that means she's technically as powerful as people like Franklin Richards, and she's just not. There's no way you can say they're anywhere near the same power level.
Oh,
He's
well, yeah.
basically a god. Like
Some of
he
this
can do
is
anything.
some of this is a writer going, "Nuh-uh, my character's more powerful than your one.
Right.
No, my one can't die. Oh yeah, well my one just says a single word and blows up planets."
I have
Yeah.
a force field.
I got a level 6 force field that can't penetrate anything.
One of the examples of a good Omega level mutant that, or I guess he's technically beyond, but that isn't like a reality warper like Franklin Richards is like Vulcan. He's extremely powerful at one specific thing to the point that he could basically destroy anything around him.
Or even
That's-
Magneto.
Yeah. That's basically what you have to be. You have to be so ridiculously powerful you could basically obliterate a planet, and he could do that.
And boy, we just went down the deep, deep nerd hole, man.
Nerd, you guys are nerds, man. Wow.
That was awesome.
I
Right.
ain't a nerd.
All right, let's come back over here and check in on Todd. And now, Todd, yeah, you're doing some art for us today. And
Yep.
so now, tell us a little bit about this panel. Now, this is from your comic book Ignition. You said this is page 6. And tell us a little bit about this story. What is it you're developing here? Now, you are doing the art, and this is being written by Mackenzie, I think, right?
Right, Leon McKenzie, right?
Yeah, which is nice to have two good Scottish men working together. But what's going on here, man? What's happening in this panel?
Well, in the earlier pages, there's a character, the first villain that you see in book 1 is called Alpha, or the Alpha. And then what ends up happening is he's creating, like, he's throwing cars around. He's actually throwing this car that you see here. And so he's creating a ruckus downtown. In Ignition, who I showed, he's sort of sleeping. He's sort of, you know, done his heroing at night, and this is sort of going on in the daytime. And so he's sort of going through growing pains as a hero. And he has to be woken up by his girlfriend to say, hey, there's something going on. Maybe you should go check it out. And this is the actual first villain and first time there's any sort of, you know, people with power. I mean, like all Ignition has done, this is year 2, and all he's done up to this point is small crime. He hasn't fought a hero or run into any other heroes. He hasn't run into any other villains. So the name Ignition sort of sets two things off. One, that's his name, and his powers are you know, fire, and he can create fire constructs. The other thing is he's igniting his world, and some of these absent heroes and villains are going to come back out of the woodwork because they were actually driven out. There was a character called the Mighty who actually cleaned house of heroing and villains and decided, without all of you, there'd be none of this chaos. So Ignition is sort of a metaphor. You know, his name is sort of a metaphor of this whole thing that happens. Now, this is his first serious fight.
And who's he fighting here? Who's the villain?
His name is the Alpha.
That's right.
He's
Yeah,
the
sorry,
Hulk
the
size.
And
He's
he's
Hulk
a
size.
fire guy too?
Nope. He's Hulk size and Hulk-like in many ways, you know. But he was actually killed by the Mighty, so he's actually reanimated by, and you'll find out more about who did that and why they did it. Because there's a lot of second and third generation stuff going on in this book.
Well, that's cool, man. It sounds like you got an actual solid idea with multiple layers, which is what you need.
Yep. There's some Golden Age heroes that disappeared, and some of them were killed, and we're gonna see some of them come back out of the woodwork because something is happening all of a sudden in this sort of universe that I've created.
Awesome. Guys, you got any comments here for the art that Todd's working on?
I like that
Okay.
ignition concept. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, the start of something. Yeah,
Yeah.
and cool.
All right.
And then about your writer, has he done any other works, or this is his first project?
Yeah, he did some writing. He's done a bunch of independent writing,
Mhm.
and he did some work for a company called Blue Water. They've changed names 3 or 4 times. It has the guy that sort of the editor in chief of that company. He's been known to be a guy who doesn't pay. He makes deals and he doesn't come through. So he keeps changing his name to sort of get away from whatever bad reputation he has. So there was a book called Adam West's Adventures, and it was sort of like Batman 66, without actually infringing on any kind of copyright. And even as far as him being in costume sometimes. So I don't know how they did it, but he wrote a couple of those Adam West books, and a few other little things that were humor based and stuff like that.
All right, cool. So we should expect some humor, some tongue in cheek in this project.
There'll be some humor, but it won't. This is more of a serious superhero book.
Mhm.
That for example, Ignition, again, like this whole metaphor of his name, he's really low level when you first see him. Like I said, he's only been heroing for 2 years, but he'll eventually end up cosmic, and that's all part of this whole idea of what's going on in this universe of his, and how he's ignited some of the old guard to come out, and some people are after him. The apartment building he lives in is in constant video surveillance. So there's a connection to his past, and there's actually some multiverse stuff.
Ooh,
Ooh.
multiverse. Sweet. Any comments, Thundaro?
Oh no, it looks good actually. I like the entire concept of it. I like how it sounds like he's gonna ramp up his power level, and it's gonna hopefully, speaking of power levels, hopefully stay consistent and make sense the whole time. It sounds like he knows what he's doing with that, so that's good. And that's a big peeve of mine, is when people screw up their own power levels.
Yeah, the whole idea behind that is I don't want to see Peter Parker be 20 for 50 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So my character is going to age and grow and power up, and it's all going to be very natural. You've seen a few looks of his if you're paying attention to my art or my channel, and you see, for instance, my avatar that you've seen a few times. You see his skeleton is glowing through his skin. So he's not your typical. He's not Firestorm. He's not, any of these other fire characters. He's a way different as far as on a molecular level. He's actually a sentient version of the sun.
Yeah, that
So
kind of
this
freaks me
gets
out.
big. Yeah, that freaks you out. It's gonna get big.
Kind of
I'm
the
telling you.
skeleton through the skin thing, glowing and all. Yeah, that freaks me out.
It is kind of
It's
neat,
gonna be
though.
badass.
All right, let's go and talk about our second story we have for today. And I'm going to go over here and share with the folks first. And I'll come back over here and let you guys see it as well. Now, this article is another Star Wars article, and we do apologize for that. But Denali, please.
From We Got This Covered, Star Wars The Last Jedi novelization author says Rey and Kylo has more than a romance.
What
So
could
brace
they
your-
possibly mean?
So brace yourself, because this is from The Last Jedi novelization, which is any better than the actual movie itself. But they're saying their relationship is more intimate because they're inside of each other's head.
Oh, good.
And there's been already rumors that the episode 9 Star Wars is going to be doing a time jump forward to 5 to 8 years, and that there's going to be a secret child that Kylo Ren doesn't know, and say, how could that possibly happen? Well, my fellow Star Wars fans that are going to stick with the franchise, remember the scene where Rey and Kylo touched in the hut, and our Uncle Luke Skywalker, Jake, busted in like, what are you guys doing here? Well, that's the moment of inception. So right now, that's subject to change, but that's what they're going with. And we'll see how it goes.
So impregnation via the Force. Touch.
Via the Force. Yep.
Well, that's not fun at all.
Yeah, I'd say they both got a raw deal in this. I'm not going to lie.
I'd say so. But it's just stupid. Stop it.
Imagine that getting cockblocked by the Force.
Exactly. But here's the thing. I mean, they're desperate to try to save this sinking ship. And in truth, J.J. Abrams is a bit of a hack, to be fair. But I feel bad for him because I don't know how he's going to save this nonsense. I honestly think they should have just dropped Episode 9 altogether, and they should have shifted to some TV stuff and let it be quiet for a little while, let it calm down, and then in the future come out with something brand new. Maybe the old show the Old Republic on the movie for the first time. I don't know, but damn, dude.
All I can think of. Go ahead.
I'm divided into. I'm a huge Star Wars fan here, and to me, this sounds like what fanboy nerds do when they see something and they want to try to explain it away after the fact later on, right? So, this happened because they're in each other's heads so much and they know each other so well, and then that's how the child is. No, when we all see Han Solo and Leia in Empire Strikes Back, and they share those moments on board the Falcon, and she's trying to repair the ship, and he comes by and he talks to her, and then at the very end, he looks at her, she looks at him, and she says, "I love you," and he says, "I know." We get it. Those moments have been created, and it's understood because they were created that way at that time. Here, they're retconning it. It wasn't created like that. It was not designed for that purpose in The Last Jedi.
Right. All I see is Star Wars Episode 9 is going to be, think of Into Darkness, but 100 times worse.
Wonderful. Yeah. It's just sad. Okay, let's go back to Todd's art. That's more interesting.
Yes.
They killed it. They did.
They did. It's dead, double dead. All right, guys. So as we see, Todd here is doing his working on this page 6 of his. Do we have any further questions for Todd? Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and end up this show for today. I do want to let everybody know that this is the upload today because I am in Tokyo, and there will be some live streaming coming later. So definitely keep an eye on your notifications and come back and check out the what I've shown you guys in Tokyo at the Comic-Con.
We're going to a very important tea ceremony.
Very important tea ceremony. No, I'm going to see a Tokyo Comic-Con, baby. It's going to be awesome.
I was going to ask, what does Tokyo mean?
Tokyo means
that is
Comic-Con.
really cool.
And I'll be having some very good food that I'll pay way too much money for, but hey.
It's all about the experience. So, Todd, how quickly do you do a page?
Full lengths. I can do one every two days. Full lengths.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, is that a good pace, or is that average, or what is that?
Well, it's good. It's actually not bad. You know what I mean? Yeah, because there's obviously about 20 pages in a comic book. So if I were doing the inks myself, it means I probably couldn't do monthly. But I can certainly pencil a page a day, 8 hours.
Now, you
So-
also color your own stuff. So how long does it take to color the page as well?
Oh, Lordy. I'm kind of slow at that right now. I mean, it should be fat. I'm flatting myself. If I had a flatter or could pay for a flatter, I could color a page in 3 hours.
Oh, I see.
But flatting is where the length of time comes from.
Well, how about this? Hey, that artwork looks really good, Todd. How's that for a flatter?
That's more of a fluffer.
Wow, that was
Whoa,
really,
whoa.
really bad joke, coupled by a very bad joke. Goodness gracious.
I thought the fluffer thing was good.
Cut the stream. Kill it. We're done here, gentlemen.
Uh,
I'm leaving Fanspeak.
So, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. We had some good, interesting art, a couple of interesting articles, and like I said, check me out later today where I will be having some live streams at Tokyo Comic Con. So, other than that, thank you guys all for joining us here today. And as usual, Denali is going to take us out.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. As always, your perception shapes your reality, so always make it a good one.
Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Later.
Bye.
Actually.